Welcome to Stoic Psyche Wisdom, where raw emotions meet unfiltered reality. In today's story, we step into a world few dare to explore. A place where silence weighs more than words, where family ties twist into something unrecognizable, where a single decision, made behind a closed door, can reshape an entire life. This is not just a tale of infidelity or forbidden desire. It's a story about loneliness, about being seen, and about how far someone might go just to feel alive again. If you've ever looked in the mirror and questioned the person staring back, if you've ever sat in a quiet room, drowning in the absence of love, then stay. This story isn't easy, but it's real. And sometimes, reality is the most haunting tale of all. Let's begin. I never imagined I'd become the type of woman who hesitated at her own bedroom door. Not because I forgot something inside, not because I misplaced my keys or spilled coffee on my blouse, but because I was afraid of what or who I might find on the other side. That night, I stood there frozen, my hand hovering over the cold metal of the doorknob, my heart thundering so violently it was like a warning drum inside my chest. The hallway was still, eerily still. No creak of floorboards, no television humming in the background. Just a silence so heavy it pressed against my ears and made the air taste metallic. I didn't know that what waited behind that door would alter the course of my life. There was no warning, no red flags waving in the distance. Just a single, irreversible moment. It all started with Adam, my stepson. But before your mind starts weaving its own story, before judgment rises in your throat like bitter smoke, let me ask you to listen. Really listen. Because this isn't a story of seduction. It's not about lust or betrayal in the way tabloids like to scream it. This is a story about isolation, about the terrifying echo of a house that's no longer a home, about the desperate, aching hunger of a soul that hasn't been touched, not physically, but emotionally, in years. Back to the beginning. Let me take you back. Not just to that night, but to the slow, invisible decay that led me to that moment. You ever live in a house that looks picture perfect from the outside? Manicured lawn, fresh coat of paint, smiling neighbors waving from across the street. But inside it's just strangers under the same roof, pretending to be a family, pretending to be happy. Pretending that love still lives here. My name is Clara. I'm 38. I've been married to Daniel for 7 years. 7 quiet, calculated years. Daniel is, well, what society calls a good man. He provides. He's responsible. He makes sure the mortgage is paid, the cars are running, and there's always something in our retirement fund. But somewhere along the way, Daniel forgot how to love me. Not just touch me, that stopped nearly 2 years ago, but to really see me. He forgot how to ask me how I'm doing and wait for an answer. He forgot how to place a hand on my back without it feeling like a formality. He forgot that I'm not a roommate, I'm a woman. And I forgot too. Forgot what it felt like to be noticed. Forgot how it felt to be seen. Then came Adam. Enter, the stepbroken. Adam was Daniel's son from his first marriage. 19, polite, quiet, respectful. He moved in without much ceremony, after some unresolved issue with his mother. Daniel didn't offer details, and I didn't press for them. I remember thinking, he's not mine. I'm not his mother. But still, I felt responsible. At first, it was routine. Cook dinner, ask how school is going, leave little reminders on the fridge. Most nights, he'd just mutter a thanks and vanish into his room. But there was something about his silence. It didn't shut me out the way Daniel's did. It didn't feel like a wall. It felt like a window. Adam carried something, some heavy, invisible thing that bent his posture and darkened his gaze. Sometimes I caught him watching me, not in a vulgar way, just observant, like he was trying to understand who I really was beneath the surface. And in those glances, I saw something unfamiliar, not desire, recognition, like two broken people spotting the cracks in each other. The house of echoes. Our house looked like it came out of a catalog, but it felt hollow, like living in a museum, the kind where you're not allowed to touch anything, not even each other. At dinner, 3 chairs were filled, but the room was empty. Daniel would scroll through his emails between bites. Adam would keep his eyes down, and I would ask how everyone's day was, knowing damn well no one would ask about mine. Then I'd clear the dishes in silence. Sometimes I'd linger at the kitchen sink long after the plates were clean, staring out the window, not thinking, just existing. I can't remember when it shifted, when Adam's quiet gratitude started to feel like attention, when his eyes made me feel visible. He noticed the smallest things, a new necklace, a different part in my hair, a sigh I didn't mean to let escape. And those things, those tiny acknowledgments, they filled something in me I didn't realize was starving. The night it all changed. It was a Wednesday. I remember that because I always hated Wednesdays. Nothing special ever happened on a Wednesday. My afternoon meeting was canceled, so I came home earlier than usual. Daniel was out of town on one of his work trips. I never asked anymore where he really went. The house was dark, except for a warm orange light leaking from under Adam's bedroom door upstairs. The silence felt like the house was holding its breath. I stepped inside carefully, as if trying not to startle the stillness. Each floorboard creaked like it was tattling on me. As I reached the top of the stairs, I heard something. Not words, not music, something else. Software, rhythmic, private. I told myself to keep walking, that whatever it wasn't my business. But I stopped, and that's when I saw it. What I saw. His door was slightly ajar, just enough to spill out a sliver of that warm light. Just enough for my eyes to catch what they shouldn't have. Adam was on his bed, his hand moving under the blanket, face glowing from the screen of his laptop. I was already turning away when I caught the image on his screen, and my heart stopped. It was me, an old video, one I'd forgotten even existed. From years ago, Daniel and I, back when there was passion, back when I used to laugh with my whole chest, back when we used to make love like we actually loved each other. Somehow Adam had found it, and he was watching it, watching me. The aftermath. I didn't burst into the room. I didn't yell. I didn't even breathe. I backed away, slowly, quietly, like a ghost that never belonged in the first place. I shut myself in my room, and I just stood there, shaking, mouth dry, heart pounding like a war drum. What I felt, it wasn't just shock. It wasn't just disgust. It was something worse, something I didn't want to name, because part of me felt alive, and I hated that.